Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is the third movie in the Guardians trilogy, is the 32nd movie overall in the MCU, and the second movie of Phase 5. So, let's talk about it. This stars the returning cast members once again of Chris Pratt, Zoe Saldana, Dave Bautista, Karen Gillan, Elizabeth Debicki, Sean Gunn, Dave Bautista, Paul Clemency, Vin Diesel, and Bradley Cooper. Also with Linda Cardellini, Nathan Fillion, and Sylvester Stallone, and Chiwetel Ejiofor. In this last movie, still reeling from the loss of Gamora, Peter Quill must rally his team to defend the universe and protect one of their own one last time. If the mission is not completed successfully, it can lead to the end of the Guardians as we know them. Into Guardians of the Galaxy 3, I was very much excited for this. This movie has had a uphill battle to play, announced to happen in 2017 after Guardians 2. Disney fired him at first in July because of controversial posts on Twitter from years ago, but the studio reversed the decision and reinstated him after he did the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker, and he returned to the movie after that. And as someone who's loved the first two movies, these two movies really are amazing. I love the first movie. The first movie was a genuine surprise with these characters. Guardians 2, I think, is just as great as the first one. I think it's overhated. I'm glad some people are starting to come around on it more. And how does this one shape up to be a fantastic conclusion to the trilogy? I'm not going to go and spoil everything, but I'm just going to say this is a fantastic film. Starting off with James Gunn's direction and writing as the positives, I think James Gunn, he really hit it home with this. You can tell that he wanted to go in a more darker direction with this. He's been hyping this up as that the main focus of this movie is Rocket. That being said, the movie is the focus on Rocket, but this also deals with some very other character moment stuff. It's a very emotional story of how these Guardians have to each confront what they're dealing with and move on from it. Also, this movie has some of the most heartbreaking moments with each member here. You have Peter, of course, having to deal with the loss of Gamora and learning, having to let go of her after what happened in Avengers 3 and 4. You have Nebula, who is definitely one of the standouts of this movie, which I'll talk about her gorgeous self. But she has moments too of having to learn how to deal with the situation of her sister, but also having a lot more lighter fun with herself, how she can break free. You also have Mantis, of course, having to deal with her emotional state, Drax, but it's really Rocket Raccoon's movie that really does go into it. And he really does anchor this movie, because he is the main one this movie's been hyped up with as to thinking he's gonna die or such, but his emotional backstory in this movie is so devastating. How he was experimented on and how he was treated there, and when you see some of that stuff in this movie, it is disturbing to watch, but it's also pretty heartbreaking to watch. It goes for it quite hard in this, and I really enjoy that. Well, I'm laughing, I'm crying, I'm getting emotional, and James Gunn did not hold back. This feels like a standalone MCU movie, which, don't get me wrong, I've loved the other stuff in the MCU of Phase 4 mostly, but it's good to have a project like this and Wakanda Forever, and definitely Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Even with Eternals, even though I'm not the biggest fan of it, they feel like a director's creative control, and this is one thing I always say about creative control. Too much of it can destroy a movie, but when you give in you can get stuff like this. And between this and Across the Spider-Verse, you definitely get that creative control. And the emotions are there, the tension is there. You can feel that any of these characters are gonna die. And this is one thing you want to see them succeed. So for that, you definitely go into that with the direction and emotional weight. The comedy of this movie and the emotional beats. This movie does so much better when it comes to comedy and emotional stuff than Thor Love and Thunder did. Because unlike Love and Thunder, this movie, when it gets emotional or dark, it doesn't undercut it with joke. I'm gonna say James Gunn actually handles this better than Taika Waititi. Don't overdo the comedy. You get great results like this, and I definitely felt that in this entire movie. And it does not undercut anything when it comes to its emotional gravitas. The soundtrack is just as fantastic as the next two. For me, it is the weakest, but it's still a great soundtrack. You have No Sleep Till Brooklyn, which I have not stopped thinking about that scene since the movie came out. But the soundtrack is just as great, and it's emotionally fitting for these type of guys. Everyone brings their A game. Chris Pratt, this is the most emotional I have seen of him as Star-Lord, him having learned to let go and such, and Interstate Depression, he was great in this movie once again. Gamora is not the Gamora that we know, but I think Zoe Saldana did a very good job here. But I will agree with Zoe Saldana that these characters needs to live past these actors. He was amazing here. Between this and Avatar: The Way of Water and other movies, Zoe Saldana is fantastic in it. Karen Gillan.
Try to keep up.
Let's talk about her because I got some choice words for her.
BAM! What?
Okay.
It's Nebula.
It's gonna be a late night, so make sure you're buzzed up.
I love this actress here.
Thanks. I guess.
He is not only an Avenger, not only a member of the Guardians, was originally supposed to die in the first movie, but the character loves her so. We love this character so much that they kept her on. And Karen Gillan, I've loved her ever since the first Guardians movie, stuff with Oculus, Gunpowder Milkshake. Wasn't the biggest fan of the Bubble, but I thought she and Pedro sold that movie for me. Her directorial movie was fantastic. Her TV show, Selfie, was great, even for the one season it got. I can't wait to check her out in Rona, Who Lives by the River, and what else she has. Karen Gillan is one of my favorite actresses working, right next to Zoe Saldana and Elizabeth Olsen and Udge. She is great here. She's very funny. She has a lot of funny moments, and they make her more badass than you expect. So, Karen Gillan, you deserve a round of applause.
Room? It is impossible not to look.
Not being only awesome, for besides Zoe Saldana and Paul Clemente for being so damn attractive and so damn awesome.
Yes, definitely. Absolutely. I think it's signed, sealed, and delivered, honey.
Yeah.
Drax the Destroyer, he's really great too in this movie. So, for his last movie as in the MCU, I thought he was great as well. Bradley Cooper, he is the star of this movie. He is the main focus, but he gives some very emotional moments here. And Bradley Cooper, his acting in these movies should be talked about way more, because he puts a lot into this with voice acting and motion capture. And this character arc definitely feels complete. Vin Diesel is Groot. Groot is just Groot, obviously. Palm Clemente as Mantis, she was fantastic. She has an anime type voice to her. She's fantastic. Great French, Canadian, Asian actress. I can't wait to see more of her. Sean Gunn is also very good. You also have Elizabeth Debicki in this movie as Asia, which I wanted more of her. She's not in the movie as much. I wanted more of her. Cosmo, I thought was also very good. Maria Bakalova. Cosmo was very adorable and very fun. But what about the villain? Chikwad Idri from Peacemaker, which I have not reviewed that show yet. I will do that. High Evolutionary. My God, this guy is evil. He's very narcissistic, sociopathic. He is very evil in this movie. He is one of the most hateable villains you will ever see. And personally, I'm gonna get some shit for this. He was a better villain than Jonathan Majors' Kang the Conqueror. At least while I don't know the High Evolutionary, this movie made me actually like his character in the bad way where you want to hate him. Guy is not screwing around. He's brutal, he's evil, and he is dangerous in this movie. I will also think the musical score and the cinematography and the visual effects are very well done here. Great mixage of practical and CGI effects. These are some of the best visual effects Marvel has put out. No disrespect to Multiverse of Madness and Shang-Chi and No Way Home and some of the TV shows, but some of the effects work has been kind of iffy. The lead pushing stuff back, and with the writer's strike, despite how, if those movies like Thunderbolts and Blade will probably be good or bad, I think this is for the better, giving them more time to catch up. And these effects are very well done here. I will also say the pacing of this movie is also very good too. 2 hours and 29 minutes. It goes by quick. There are a few things in this movie you could cut out here, but overall I definitely feel like they nailed it and hit it all home in this movie. My only sort of issues when it comes to this movie is I will say there are a few things here that you could have cut, like the kids. They were cool, but I felt like you could have easily put them into the lead scenes category. And I will say Will Poulter as Adam Warlock, he's not bad. I just feel like he's just there. He does his job fine. Other positives before I give my overall grade, I will say that this movie actually had the balls to let them say the F-bomb. You remember in the first two movies when they said we're the Guardians of the Galaxy, except they couldn't say the actual curse word? They actually say it here. Overall, Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is a satisfying and amazing end to this send-off of Guardians that goes on in style, thanks to James Gunn's direction, the performances, the emotional story, and heartbreaking moments, with each team member getting their time to shine. The villain is a villain you love to hate, and the soundtrack is just as great as with these movies. While there are some heartbreaking moments that are hard to watch, while the movie could have taken out a few things and let Asia have a little bit more screen time in this movie, I will say that overall I walked away pretty damn satisfied with this. This is one of my favorite movies of the year, and I'm going to give this a better than Vampire Academy. Well, that's going to do it for the video that you just watched. If you want to see more, my channel icon is up here. If you want to see more content from me, all my social medias are right here in this end card. I will also leave a playlist and a video here for you to see what the channel is about. As always, acknowledge me, stay Epictastic, join the Epictasticness, and you guys keep it cool.